All right, matinee show, matinee episode 77.
Yeah.
So we got 2 Netflixes and 1 Shudder this week.
Yeah.
I just noticed, speaking of movies like new ones, I just noticed that I guess more movie companies have jumped on the bandwagon because I just got an email from AMC Theaters saying that apparently through their app, I didn't really look into it, but a bunch of the movies that had either still been playing in the theaters or had just left the theaters were now available for rent or purchase. You could stream them
somehow through the app.
Yeah, Birds of Prey was in there, The Grudge was in there. Pretty much everything that's come out in the last couple months was available now. Okay. So that does seem like the smartest thing.
Now they still count it only 3 movies?
I'm not sure because I also got an email saying that they weren't going to charge people.
Yeah, that's weird.
I guess you can just pay for them individually,
right?
For the movies if you'd wanted. Because I think that they didn't want to charge people for the Stubbs
right.
A-list program if you couldn't actually go to the theater.
Right.
So I'm thinking this is a separate thing where they're just saying, hey, the movies that were in the theater are available if you want to pay and watch them.
They're not going to like that. What's going to happen is AMC's going to become Netflix.
Maybe. Well, everything's becoming Netflix. That's why everybody has their own streaming service. I mentioned it earlier.
Now. A lot of people don't know this, but here in Florida, we got some fucking rich people, mansions and shit. In those mansions are theaters that look like real theaters that could sit 100 people. They might have that in their grounds. They might have a Starbucks on their house, on their grounds, like a damn compound and shit. It's probably mostly closed, but when they have parties, that shit opens up.
Yeah.
Anyway. For a long time, they've had the ability to watch movies in their homes, streaming the same way they stream in theaters. Did you know that?
Well, I mean, once everything went digital, it became much easier.
For a long time,
because it's not like you have the one reel of.
They got millionaires and billionaires that can leave their house and go to an AMC theater that's right there in their house or right there on their grounds. Nobody works in it.
Yeah.
But it's got kiosks and fucking shit like that. It's even got popcorn machines. And then go in there and watch a movie on the day that it comes out in a private theater. That service has existed for a long time.
Yeah. Like I said, probably since it all went digital.
Yeah, since it all went digital. How much you want to bet everyone's going to get that now? To where if you subscribe to AMC, you get to watch 20 of them a month. You don't have to go to the theater. You can just fucking watch them over here.
It might, yeah.
That's the way it's going to go, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And then if you want to see extra ones, you can just buy them.
Yeah.
Right there off the app. On the day that they release.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard the real rich people were seeing them a little bit early.
Because of course they are.
Yeah, that they could see them a week early.
They get all the good shit.
Yeah.
But we did find 3 new movies / series that we're going to talk about. So the first one I want to talk about is on Netflix. This is a 2020 movie called Lost Girls. Now, this is actually based on a book by Robert Kolker, and this is a slightly fictionalized retelling, sort of the Long Island serial killer case, which we did a show about not too long ago.
Yeah.
So if you know anything about that case, you'll kind of know where this is going. It's interesting because I was watching some other movie review guys that I like, and they had reviewed it, and a lot of them didn't know of the details of the case. Which is pretty creepy to me because Long Island serial killer, it's what is it, 10 or 11 people dead, and this motherfucker is probably still running around loose, and a lot of people don't know about the case. So apparently the book by Robert Kolker, which I haven't read, but from what I could gather, the book is docu-fiction, kind of. It's based on the real story, but it's a little bit fictionalized, and this is the way it's written narratively. Now, the book focuses a lot more on each one of the victims. The movie, which is directed by Liz Garbus, focuses on Shannon Gilbert's family specifically. Which I guess that's the thing to do if you are going to adapt a book to a movie. You kind of have to focus in on one thing. And I guess Shannon Gilbert would have been the best one to do because it was her going missing that made the authorities find all the other bodies. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, she was the one who, the Long Island serial killer, if you guys don't know, he's also known as the Gilgo Beach killer, the Craigslist killer, all this other kind of stuff. So appears that whoever this person or persons is has been contacting sex workers on Craigslist and then killing them. So, the fact that Shannon Gilbert disappeared, she went to Oak Beach and she was working as an escort, presumably, and she went there with her driver, Michael Pack, and then she, freaked out and was, running around to the other houses on there, saying they're trying to kill me and all this other kind of shit, and then she went missing, and they didn't find her for, a year.
She said they, huh?
Yeah.
So it's more than one.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, I'm going to say, if you don't know about this case or anything like that, and if you're just watching this, as a movie, obviously because the case is unsolved, the ending is probably not going to be very satisfying because, spoiler alert, they still don't know who this serial killer is or, who is doing this to all these women. But the point of the movie was to kind of focus on, Shannon's family, particularly her mother, Mary Gilbert, who was a very complicated character, but who was sort of instrumental in getting the authorities to get off their asses and actually try to investigate this case. And from what I know about the case, because like I said, we did a show about it not too long ago, and this is fairly factually accurate as far as I can recall, but it really took a lot of goading for the police to really take any of these cases very seriously. Once, even though, like I said, they didn't find Shannon until a year after she went missing, and in the interim, they had found a whole bunch of other bodies. And for a long time, there's still controversy over whether Shannon just died in an accident or whether her body was, her murder or whatever was related to the other ones, which I suspect that it probably was because, that seems kind of far-fetched to think that there were all these bodies in one particular area turning up dead and one of them was yeah, it's possible, but I'm not buying it. But so the thing that's fictionalized in this movie, the cops are going to make you very, very mad. Gabriel Byrne is in this, and he plays the commissioner, and he's kind of sympathetic. You can kind of see where he's coming from. He's at least more sympathetic than some of the other cops who are just who cares, they're hookers, pretty much basically. But as I said, this is based in reality, and that's kind of the whole point of the movie is that Mary Gilbert, Shannon Gilbert's mother, had to pretty much constantly harangue them, and her and the mothers of the other victims as well, to get them to do anything, because since these were sex workers, they weren't really taking it seriously. They weren't really coming out to the media and say, yes, it's a serial killer. And I don't even know if they've even done that now. I guess they do now, but so yeah, it's a really good movie. It's, like I said, it's more a character study or a drama, mostly based around Mary Gilbert's character. And I like that they kind of had the balls to portray her accurately in the sense that she's not necessarily a real likable person, but her heart's in the right place and why she's doing what she's doing, and you can relate to her doing that because her daughter went missing and she feels like nobody gives a shit about it. So, even though she's very abrasive and she's very rude and things like that, but you kind of understand where she's coming from. Now, the interesting thing is that this focuses very much on the year where Shannon was missing and her kind of crusade to get the case taken more seriously. So it doesn't go into, and if you've watched our show about this Long Island serial killer, you know that this had a horrifying conclusion as far as Mary Gilbert was concerned. They don't really go into that. It's just kind of a little text thing at the end is oh, by the way, a few years after these, after Shannon went missing and after, the investigation started and stuff like that, one of Mary's other daughter, who is portrayed in this movie as a younger girl, murdered her mom. Because she had mental health issues, which they do address. They show the character having a lot of mental issues and being on medication that they're not sure it's working, and they're kind of a poor working class family, so she's the single mother is kind of stressing out because she's like, she knows the daughter needs help and she can't afford to help her and all this other kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how that turned out. But like I said, that's not really the focus of the story. They do tell you that at the end, but it's not, they don't really like dramatize it or anything. But yeah, if you really like true crime stuff and you're not concerned about this not having like a neat pat conclusion, because like I said, this is very much based on a true story. The director, Liz Garbus, I believe this is the first movie she's directed. She's normally a documentary director. But this is it's a nice looking movie. The acting is all really good. And it's like just a really intriguing mystery story. Even though if you already know the details of the case, which I did, I still think it was like a really, I don't want to say entertaining because that seems like a weird word to use for this subject matter. But if you like true crime stuff, you definitely should check this out because it's definitely one of the better ones that Netflix has made. So I would definitely recommend it. All right, now the second thing was also on Netflix, and this is kind of an interesting, I hadn't seen like a lot of people talking about this one, but I actually ended up digging it a lot. This is actually a series. It's called Bloodride. Now, this is a Norwegian horror thriller anthology series, kind of like Creepshow or The Twilight Zone or something like that. You don't have to watch them in order because they're all just like completely different stories and they're not related. The nice thing about it is that it's 6 episodes. And the episodes are only like 30 minutes or maybe like a little bit shorter. So you can easily like binge this in one evening, which I did.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I have to say, and maybe this is a bold statement, but I have to say that a lot of the episodes of this I liked better than some of the episodes of Creepshow. You know what I mean?
I was watching it whether they were competently done. I liked them. It's subtitled.
Yeah, obviously,
which,
it's Norwegian.
A lot of times, if I'm gonna watch a foreign film, I want them to be subtitled. I want them to be in the original language.
Yeah, because I can't stand dubbing.
Dubbing fucking sucks. The only thing I could say against this is that they weren't very colorful. Like Trick or Treat was a real colorful looking movie.
Yeah.
They're kind of moderny looking and kind of Spartan. But they're good stories. I guess you could say they're kind of like Black Mirror.
I was thinking that too. It's kind of like
looks.
Black Mirror, but not as high tech as that, like not as sci-fi as that.
Black Mirror meets Twilight Zone.
Yeah, with a little bit of Creepshow thrown in.
Yeah.
Because some of it did have like some gore and have some horror elements. Probably more thriller based. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of them, maybe all of them now that I'm thinking about it, had sort of twist endings or like surprised endings. Now, some people have criticized, they said, oh, well, like a lot of them, they could see the endings coming. I think one of them, I knew how it was going to end. I was like, oh, this is probably going to be this, that, and the other. But the other ones I didn't really see where it was going because I was just kind of like watching them and enjoying them and having a good time, and I wasn't really like worried about trying to be too clever.
The one that I thought was hilarious, one about letting the monkey out the box and the guys were singing. And that was, I was just going, what the Norwegian guys singing in English this fucking ridiculous song about letting the monkey out of the box because the monkey wants to. How did it go? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
I just started busting up every time he fucking.
Because he did it a bunch of times.
They eventually ended up stabbing a bunch of people, so they were letting the monkey out of the box.
Obvious.
Yeah, they were letting the monkey out of the box.
But yeah, so they call it Bloodride because I guess you call it a wraparound, even though it doesn't like have a plot of its own or it doesn't like relate to anything else in the series really. It's just kind of like a, like a little pre-credit kind of thing. But it's just like, it's this creepy bus and then like all of the people that are in all the episodes are on the bus. Like, you know what I mean? And then there's like a creepy driver like looking in the mirror. And then it's kind of cool because like each episode it shows like all the people on the bus, like all the people that are in all 6 episodes. But then like it's the same, but then there's like a couple seconds of, oh, this is the one that it's going to focus on this time. Like I said, the wraparound doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the thing. It's just kind of like an introductory kind of thing. Like I'm presuming because they're like riding the bus to hell or the afterlife or whatever it is they're doing because they're, mostly dead people or whatever. But I just liked that little segment. It was just like a nice little thing, but it doesn't have anything to do with the stories. So these are 6 episodes. Now the first one is called The Ultimate Sacrifice, and it's about this family who move out. I guess they lived in the big city, and the woman burned through all of their savings or like maxed out all their credit cards or whatever. So they've been forced to kind of move to this house, like sort of out in the middle of nowhere. So she's not happy about it. So they go out there and their neighbors are very Stepfordy. Let's say that. They're also like super overly friendly and stuff. And you know that some creepy shit is going on. And the wife is like, yeah, this is creepy. And the husband's like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not creepy in the slightest, even though it totally is creepy. So, this one is, I liked this one a lot, but one, the main character, the wife, is really unlikable. So in that sense, it's kind of like Creepshow because it's almost kind of like shitty characters, like getting their just desserts kind of. Not all of them are like that, but a lot of them are. So it does definitely have that kind of like, you know, you're getting what you deserve type of thing. Because she sucks. She's like a terrible person. I will say that I'm not going to like spoil all these. I'm just kind of giving a very broad outline. The very first one, if you have trouble watching animal cruelty or like bad things happening to animals, might want to skip this one.
Yeah, but it's not graphic though.
It's not graphic, but just thinking about it is kind of upsetting. You know what I mean? I was kind of upset.
That was the point of the movie though.
Yeah.
She was a bitch.
Yeah, she was a terrible person. Because I like that.
It was kind of an animal rights thing. If you'll do it to an animal, you'll do it to a person. That was kind of
it just went to show. And the thing about it is that, you know, maybe the only thing, because I guess she was kind of a shitty person from the beginning because they did hint that, one, she was bitching about having to move out to the country, even though she was the one that spent all their money and necessitated them moving out to the country. So it was kind of her fault. So she didn't really have any cause to like bitch about it. But then the fact that she just immediately like found out this thing that happens in this town that you have to do something horrible, like and she was just like, okay, I'm on board. Like she didn't hardly think about it. And but you know what I mean? But I guess they kind of had to do that because, you know, these episodes are only like 26, 27 minutes long. So they can't like dick around with her like thinking, maybe we should do that or anything, because they kind of established that she's kind of a shitheel, like from the very beginning. So like I said, I really, really liked that first one. But yeah, if you don't like watching, even though it's not graphic, but if you don't even like the idea of animals like pets and stuff like that getting hurt, then probably you don't want to watch that one because it's going to upset you a lot. So the second one is called Three Sick Brothers. And this was a guy who just got out of the mental asylum for what it is at first an undisclosed illness, but they're saying, oh, he's sane now, so he can get out. So they just kind of show him, and he's just moving back in his apartment, and his mom is checking on him, and everything's fine. Then his two brothers show up, one of whom is the aforementioned letting the monkey out of the box guy, who I think's name is Otto. Who's like crazy party animal dude. And they eventually convince him to go out to their father's cabin, like out in the middle of the woods, because I guess their mom is going to sell it and their father is dead and they want to have like one last party at this cabin, like before it's not in their family anymore. So they finally like harangue this poor guy, even though the guy is just like, you know, his psychiatrist has told him like, hey, you should like not get stressed out and not hang out with, you know, and, you know, try to kind of like keep to yourself and everything. But eventually they convince him to go out there. They like pick up a girl. They do like all this, they start drinking and doing all this crazy shit. And bad things ensue. Although this one, the way this one ended up, this went in a total direction that I wasn't expecting. Like, and this is what I mean by saying that a lot of them have twist endings. The first one, you could kind of see where that was going. You know what I mean? Like, once the rules of the story were established, you were just kind of like, oh, well, I bet that X, Y, and Z is going to happen. So it wasn't, like, unexpected. This one, I wasn't expecting it to go in the direction that it went in. Maybe some people who are maybe smarter than me, like, figured it out. But it's just, I wasn't thinking along those lines. So I didn't expect it to go that way. I don't know if this was my favorite or not. This might have been my second favorite. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I liked them all. And the cool thing is, I don't know if they were all written by the same people, because it was like a team of like two people that put this together. So they might have written all the stories, but they're really different. Like a lot of them are really, so it's kind of cool. You get like a lot of variety, kind of like the Creepshow. So yeah, then the third one is called Bad Writer. This one seemed to me the most like a Black Mirror episode because it has to do with this girl who's in a writing class, and then, but you find out, and you pretty much know from the beginning that she's a character in someone else's story. You know what I mean? Because even at the beginning, they kind of just show her being like super perfect, just like a bad writer would write a character, you know, who was like super awesome because they were like putting themselves in the story. So but this one also kind of went in a way that I didn't expect. And it reminded me of, and I can't remember what that fucking, I usually don't like Will Ferrell, but he was in a movie where he was a character in Emma Thompson's story, and I can't fucking remember the name of it, but it reminded me of that, but with a horror element on top of it. So that was a good one too. The fourth one was called Lab Rats. This one was probably my favorite if I had to pick. This is basically just like this shitty guy that runs a company. I think it's like a pharmaceutical company. And they have a prototype of some new thing. And he has a dinner party for all of his like most trusted employees. And it turns out that someone has stolen the prototype. So it's kind of like this really tense, like locked room kind of drama where he's trying to figure out who it was that stole it. And that also predictably goes horribly wrong. But that one was probably my favorite because it had like the most suspense and stuff. Then there was one called Old School, which was pretty much like a straight up ghost story. Where a woman comes to teach at like an old school that they just reopened, and she starts seeing people that aren't there, and that there's these kids and stuff. This one also had a twist, but I guessed what the twist was going to be, which I imagine most people probably would, but it was still good. It was still creepy. And then the last one was called Elephant in the Room, which this was probably my least favorite, although I did like it. It was just kind of like this work party where for some reason it was like a costume party, and everyone was dressed up like animals, and then there was like some kind of thing about two new employees, and they were talking about like this one employee that had been there and had fallen off a balcony or something like that, and they're trying to like sleuth and like see what happens because they feel like some of the other employees in the company like know what happened, so they're trying, like at this work party, they're trying to figure out like what happened to this woman and who was responsible for it. So it was still good, but it was probably my least favorite if I had to pick one. Now another thing too is that, just much like Creepshow, these are kind of like, I don't think I'd call them straight horror comedy, but there is a lot of dark humor in them. So keep that in mind too, like as you watch it. Yeah. But it's honestly, I really enjoyed this a lot. And like I said, it's a quick binge. It only takes like a little bit less than 3 hours to watch all of them. And you don't have to watch them in any particular order. If there's one that's boring, you just skip it and go to the next one. But I'm kind of digging these horror anthology type of things. I love that kind of shit.
Yeah, so, they were good.
Yeah, so more of this, please. So yeah, so if you're into horror anthologies, check it out if you don't mind reading subtitles because it's in Norwegian. Okay, third one we saw this week. I've been wanting to see this one for a long time. It came out in 2019, I believe in September, but Shudder just now added it. This is Satanic Panic.
Yeah, this one actually for this week stood out to me. I liked this one the best.
I did as well. I had a fucking blast with this one.
This is a good movie.
Yeah, and it seems to be getting like, mixed to positive reviews, which I can get. Now, this is very much a horror comedy.
Yeah.
It's directed by Chelsea Stardust. This might be her first, or at least her feature-length debut. I believe she worked on a lot of different horror movies, like on The Crew and stuff like that, like on the production crew. But I think this is her first directorial thing. And it's based on a story by Grady Hendrix, who I think is a novelist. He doesn't usually write screenplays that I know of. But yeah, so this is about a girl named Sam, and she just started delivering pizzas for this place called Home Run Pizza.
Yeah.
And
now hold on, the tone of this movie, if this movie had come out back in the day, Jeffrey Combs would have been in this movie.
This definitely does feel like something that is right in his wheelhouse.
So I'm just going to try to put that in your mind first, all right? This is kind of, to me, kind of like a classic throwback type movie.
Yeah.
Horror comedy.
A horror comedy.
But it's got funny shit that happens into it, but some of the shit's really fucking gross. And you're like, what the hell's going on? What are these people doing? It's about a bunch of fucking Satanists. And these Satanists are like regular fucking annoying ass rich people, and it's kind of hilarious. It is hilarious when it's supposed to be, but it's also kind of disturbing in a weird way. It worked for me. I liked it. I liked the tone.
It reminded me of an updated version of Society, the Brian Yuzna movie.
Yeah.
It reminded me, it's not quite as gory as that, but it's pretty gory. So
it's all practical effects, too.
And it's all practical effects. I don't think there was any CGI in this.
No.
Fangoria Magazine was one of the producers on this as well.
Yeah, good, and it's got a good score, good soundtrack. It's got some music in there. It's fucking pretty good. I was like, man, that sounds good.
I think Wolfmen from Mars did some of the songs. I don't know if they did all the score and stuff as well, but I really, really like the music.
It's not a real corporate movie. It's not real sanitary in the way that it fucking is portrayed to you. You can tell that this is a movie that was made with fucking soul. The movie's got fucking heart.
Like I said, the woman who directed it, you can tell she's a horror person because she's worked on a lot of other horror movies. This is just the first one she's directed. And you can tell that, whoever made this is having a good time.
Yeah.
And
like the
also,
old shit. Like the old
and also they know they're occult shit because a lot of the stuff that the satanic cults do, like a lot of the stuff that they say and the demons and everything is is accurate. Like to all that kind of stuff.
You see some demons, they're pretty good demon costumes. I'm telling you, it's like the practical effects are for me, they're the way to go. I mean,
they're always going to look good. I mean, if you do them right the first time, that's never going to date. It's never going to be like old CGI that looks like shit now.
And it doesn't look real. It's not supposed to.
Yeah.
This is a well-made B movie that's entertaining you and showing you some fucking cool shit. It's special effects on the level maybe like Trick or Treat or something. No,
well,
more,
might be
better,
a little. Maybe
better.
I think they're a little bit better than that. Actually.
Yeah, like I said, it's like an old Jeffrey Combs movie.
He definitely did. Yeah, like during one near the climax of this movie, he's like, I feel like Jeffrey Combs should be in this.
Yeah, I said Jeffrey Combs will step out at any minute.
It's just So this poor little pizza delivery woman, ends up going to this humongous mansion and delivering all these pizzas. This is her first night on the job, and she doesn't have enough money for gas to get back on her Vespa. And the rich asshole who opens the door, of course, doesn't give her a tip because you know how they do. And so she is just going to leave it, but then she's like, man, I need at least $5, to put gas in my Vespa, to go home. So she decides she's going to, go into the house, and she, finds an unlocked door and goes in the house. And,
to get her tip,
To get her tip, because she's like, hey, why don't you guys just, pool all your money? Because one of the other pizza guys told her, it's like, hey, I went in there and, got them all to pass the hat around.
He tells this fucking
That guy was in it for a minute. He was so fucking funny.
I don't want to steal that dude's thunder. But he tells an accurate description of what it was like for him to be in a damn orgy. And this shit's fucking hilarious, man.
It's just, there's a lot of really funny shit in this. Yeah. So so she ends up...
Some of it sounds as ad-libbed, which is even better.
Yeah, which it might not be, but it sounds like it. Yeah. But so this poor pizza delivery girl, ends up in the middle of essentially a big satanic ritual, and once they find out she's a virgin, they start coming after her because she's going to be the sacrifice and whatever. So it's I have to give a shout out to Rebecca Roman, who, she's fairly famous. And she plays the Danica, who's the leader of the cult. She is great. She plays a great fucking villain. Because the thing about it is these are all Satanists, but they're all really wealthy people too. So they have these fantastic red robes, and all their makeup and manicures are all perfect and stuff, and they're all super bitchy Karen types. And they're all trying to there's power struggles in between her and this other woman called Gypsy,
and there's a bunch of petty shit happening.
Yeah, and it's super bitchy, and it's just
eventually at the end it's something off of a damn Iron Maiden album cover with all the fucking Satanists dancing half nude or nude and shit. They hit every fucking point.
I really, really did like this. And there's just there's just some crazy shit in this. It's like I said, the gore it's all practical effects. Yeah. I mean, you just see fucking they're baking a fucking heart into a thing. It's somebody sticks their hand in somebody's neck and
pulls
it's a
heart
out.
And a soul all
I think it's a soul.
It's a soul.
Somebody somebody pulls out someone's intestines through their mouth. It's there's a really interesting drill sex toy hybrid.
Yeah, what do you call it? She called it a
kildo?
No, a drildo.
A dildo or a
Drildo or something. It's like it was fucking hilarious.
And it's just like, I love that it's like those two characters are only in it for like a minute or something like that. But it's just like, it's just had these great gags, like all of the you know, kind of the interaction between all the characters, like all the Satanists, like all their bitchy squabbling. And then, you know, Sam, the pizza delivery girl, who ends up meeting up and like teaming up with one of the, I guess the leader of the satanic cult, I guess her daughter. So I guess they end up teaming up. Now, here's the thing. We were watching this movie, and the woman that plays Judy, who is, you know, the friend that she hooks up with, we were like, God damn it, we just saw her in something recently. Who the hell is that? She was in the Happy Death Day movies.
Okay, yeah.
That's where we saw her. Yeah. So we just saw Happy Death Day 2 like a few months ago.
The edit on the movie is really good. There's no slow spots.
Yeah. The pacing at the end, like during the orgy, is a little weird, but it's like, other than that, it didn't really bother me.
For me, I think the movie set up a tone of where you start to forgive movie for any kind of little shortcomings because you're having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is not a serious movie.
Definitely not.
It's an entertainment movie.
Yeah.
And it's you can tell that, you know, they understand the genre, and this is for people that fucking like this type of movie. Yeah. And you know, which is, for me, I think that's the spirit of those old-fashioned horror movies.
Yeah, it definitely did remind me of like an 80s horror comedy.
Like a really well-made, low-budget 80s
horror.
Yeah. Like I said, like a Jeffrey Combs movie.
Yeah. Or like, it reminded me of Society. Like, thematically, it reminded me of Society. Yeah. And the fact that it was like gory, but also like funny and like real over-the-top funny.
And then a whole bunch of satanic fucking tropes and shit. Stereotypes. Really good.
Yeah, it's just, I had a lot of fun with this one. Like I said, it's been getting to like mixed to good reviews. Some people had some issues with the pacing and stuff like that, but I didn't really have any issues with that. I thought it was a fucking blast. Yeah. From start to finish, just really funny, really gory, just a good fucking time. You know what I mean? So Shudder has it. I read something on the Wikipedia page, which I thought was very funny, that apparently when they started selling the Blu-ray of this movie in Walmart, they took the word satanic off the cover for the ones that they sold in Walmart.
Weird.
So I'm like, what does it just say? Panic?
Panic? Yeah.
Or like can they even put a pentagram on there? I guess not. I don't think Walmart would allow a pentagram.
That's ridiculous.
I didn't know they still did that.
Especially for a horror movie.
Like that Walmart
and a comedy horror movie.
So you can't even say satanic in a fucking...
What would you say those...
That's crazy.
Those practical effects were probably on... Some of it reminded me... Remember Naked Lunch? Some of the stuff reminded me like something out of Naked Lunch. The demon costumes kind of reminded me of something kind of out of... Remember The Guyver?
Yeah, I remember that.
The Guyver, kind of like that. It was good, though, man. I was having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Jerry O'Connell's in this, too. Like, just briefly. Him and Rebecca Roman are married in real life. I didn't actually know that. Yeah. But yeah, so...
It's got cute girls in it.
Yeah, cute girls, great gore, like I said. Yeah. I think my favorite thing was that guy getting his intestines pulled out his mouth. Yeah. That was pretty rad.
And, you know, they're constantly trying to show or trying to set up some new... trying to set up some kind of situation in the story to show off some kind of gag they're going to do. Like, you know, somebody drowning while not being in water, or somebody's intestines getting pulled out, or cooking somebody's heart and soul. I don't know what it is. And it turns into a damn flying monster to find somebody. It's just, like I said, it was just like fucking off the wall. I expected Jeffrey Combs to step in all of a sudden and go, you know, what's going on here? You know, something like that, you know.
He should have been one of the Satanists.
They should have brought Jeffrey Combs in on
this. Or he
would
have been good as like the other creepy pizza employee too.
Something. He just have him in there somewhere.
Also. He definitely did need to be in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have...
I don't know how old Jeffrey Combs is now.
Yeah, I don't know
He might be 70 by now, huh?
God, is he that old?
Fuck, that's weird, isn't it?
We're so old.
We're getting old, yeah.
But yeah, if you have Shudder, they just added this like yesterday or the day before, and I was really excited because I've been wanting to see this. I knew it came out like a while back, but I hadn't got around to seeing it because I always wait till it comes to streaming. Unless I really, really want to buy it. Or you can buy it, you know, I'm sure you can rent it somewhere too. But if you really like horror comedy, especially like throwback type of stuff, it's just It's just really fun, great practical effects, really colorful, like all the costumes and shit like that are really good. Great score, good music. Just a fucking fun ass movie. So